Hi, everybody. Welcome. I thought we would do a series on Move for Your Mind. And today we're going to work with clarity. So, my theme is clarity. We'll work with that idea of having a sense of direction um, and seeing where this practice can take us if we allow it. So, couple of things that might help bring clarity is to be curious about what we don't know. So, curiosity as we do the practice, curious about our thoughts. Um, Maybe we would imagine different scenarios and see how that feels for us in our body to see if we can gain clarity. I know when I have a decision to make, I often let the analytical mind really chew through it. And I do logistics and I do a pro con list and I do all of those things. And I very rarely rely on how would it feel to be in a certain situation. Um, and let's see, allowing space for free association. So allowing space without technology, without input, and seeing how that affects maybe there's another possibility we haven't thought of. And the answer becomes clearer because we've allowed some space. And I know it's really hard for me. I love that I can have podcasts on things and I can read books and I can take more information. I just love to learn. But that will get in the way of noticing the flowers or noticing what's around me sometimes when I'm outside and giving myself that idea of just doing nothing, or when I'm out on a walk, not having input. Um, and so we want to see the old thoughts. The last thing I'll say is we want to see the old thoughts and maybe call them out. So if you've had a, a thing that you do all the time, a repetition of well, I always get to this point and I ask the same question, and maybe you need to change the question and just noticing and saying, no, that's an old thought. That's the same thing I've been thinking for the last 10 years, or 5 years, or 2 years, or 30 years. How do I call that out and say, I'm going to see if I can push my mind to open up to something new? So, those are my thoughts about clarity, and we're going to see how that kind of works in the practice. So I want you to have a light grip on my instructions. See if you can stay with me in what we're doing, but not hold on too tightly. Also, to making sure you're doing everything just right. Really coming. We're going to see if we can really kind of use the body for this practice. So let's come down onto the floor to start. This will be a movement lab based class, not strengths so much. So we'll do movement. We might add a little pieces of this and that in our movement lab. So come on down to the floor, relaxing the body back, taking in a deep breath in there, letting the ribs fall with the exhale. Inhaling here, exhaling, release. And then let's work with knitting the ribs. So, one little piece about this idea of clarity, of maybe trying to figure out what we want or what needs to happen, what's the correct next step. Let's come up into that mini crunch, drawing the ribs down and in, or as we call it, knitting the ribs down and in. And this right here can be really helpful in the body. Go ahead and slowly come back for a lot of different things physically. Lift your head again, but also to help us gain a little more of that sense of self. So we get this connection here right in. It's connected with our viscera, as we sometimes would think about having, a gut reaction to things, having that strong abdominal wall here Let's slowly lower back. Keep that connection with the ribs knitting all the way back. Then relax. So fine tuning and continuing to connect sense of self into this core of the body. Bring the knees over the hips this time. Knees right over the hips. Take the hands away if you'd like, grabbing onto the back of the legs. Right away, you can notice if you grab on with a little bit of help here, how my belly all of a sudden was like, oh, I don't have to do so much. So I'm going to reignite the belly, holding the shoulders up. See if I can let my hands be lighter at the legs or take the hands away. And if you'd like to stretch the legs out, you can. A little bit at an angle. Good. And then draw back in and come down to rest. All right, let's do another connection um, exercise here that will bring us back a little more into the body, connecting brain, body work. And let's do some knee folds. So tapping heel down, other heel taps, tap, 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 tap. Good. You're welcome to take one leg down or keep both of the knees over the hips. Let's take one foot up and back to bent, the other foot up, back to bend, up, up. Okay, now take that one side up only partially, not all the way to straight, and hold. Take that same side up, partial, and hold. So 2/3 of the way up, and pause, 2/3 of the way up, and pause, and up. Good, let's try the other side. Up, push through the ball of the foot just a little bit. Not too much, so I'm not pointing my feet. Just kind of having a little activity in the foot. Up and pause, and up and pause, and then come on in. Let the legs come in, the low back come to the floor. You can even rock side to side if you'd like. Go ahead and check in with the state of the mind. Okay, let's go ahead and bring the knees over the hips again. Take the arms up toward the ceiling. Let the feet drift up to that 2/3 of the way up position. Now, think of your leg not as a bend at the knee here, but that we're going to move from this hip crease and we're going to lengthen that hip crease out and come back up. Lengthen it so that whole leg, whatever angle you've got on it, just let that be same angle, lowering the thigh bone. I'll often use that idea of lower the thigh bone like a drawbridge. Opposite arm overhead, opposite arm overhead. Want a little more clarity? Maybe we work with this dead bug because we have to connect the body and the two sides of the brain here to work two sides of the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to have to do one more so I'm even. Drop that other leg. Good. And then draw in again. Let your back enjoy the floor and check in to see what does the mind feel like? Can we let maybe the thoughts that are very present, we usually kind of feel them. Go ahead and find your way upward. Usually feel them kind of up here in the front. This is where a lot of our executive work happens, right up here. Maybe we soften that a little bit, or we can let those thoughts go backward a little bit. So when I'm on my back, I can kind of feel like, okay, can I make a little space up here in the front of the forehead? Okay, let's keep going. Let's come up to our feet. And we'll take our sumo position, turning the toes out, exhaling, inhaling to come up, exhaling. Good. Let's do this, make this a little bit more um, of a workout for the legs. So come down and hold here a little bit. As you come up, make that a slow coming upward. Come on down, slowly coming up. Really feeling the feet. Press down, press down, press down, and come back down. Pause. Press down, press down, press down. And one more time. Good. Okay. Gonna come down. We're gonna lift the heels. This is good work for your ankles. Lift one side, slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Landing, lifting, slowly lowering. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift both. Good. 5, lowering. 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. See if you can just hover above the mat there. You might even feel the skin touching the mat, but you're not giving that weight into the floor yet. And then lower. Let that weight come into the floor and come up. All right. Take the feet underneath you. Good. Coming to standing to check in. And noticing, being that meta awareness. Can I be aware of my thoughts? Can I be aware of what my body is feeling and be in my body? Good. So I said clarity, maybe perspective, whatever you'd like to call this. And I mentioned a little bit this idea of letting the forehead have a little space. And sometimes I think of that real horizontally. And so let's take the feet medium distance and we'll work a little bit with that. Our gaze could be straight ahead, but maybe we can also see this peripheral. So our perspective is broader, right? Taking that medium distance with this idea of broadening the gaze a little bit, taking that back foot in, letting the hips turn. We'll take that nice bend here, take advantage of the back leg really reaching back, bending and straightening. If you'd like to, you can lift that heel just a little and you can continue to bend and straighten. We can drop the heel for 2 more. And then let's come to warrior 2. Let's come to this bent knee position. And looking ahead, I see what's in front of me. Can I also see out here? Maybe if my hands were behind my head here, could I see my elbows? That gives you something very tangible to reach out with your work, your vision. And then let's take that vision spiraling mostly right here. Sometimes the hips move a little bit too, still with that peripheral vision. Taking the arms out. Maybe you can see your arms out there. And just softening the forehead a little bit. Let the eyebrows drop down. It's not a real huge movement, but you might sense that. Pressing down through the front foot, let's come to standing. And step to the top of your space. I'm going to step to look toward you so my arms can move freely. And we're going to inhale here. Exhale, take the arms out. Ribs drawing down, just like we practice knitting the ribs. And then coming forward, inhale. Exhale, gorilla pose. Bring your hands to the knees. Keep that idea of peripheral vision. Forward fold. And exhale, take the arms out and up. Take the arms down, inhale. Exhale, arms out and up. Drop the eyebrows. Inhale, forward fold. Exhale, gorilla. Inhale, forward fold. Exhale, arms out and up. And dropping the arms down. Good. Taking the feet apart, turning one side out, the other foot turning in the back, bending and straightening. If you choose to look upward here, straight out, taking in the peripheral of your room. On the other side, we lifted the heel a few times, experimented with a lifted heel, even as we straighten, just not landing too much on that heel, and then coming back. Heel is down. Good. Bending that front knee. Bring the hands back to the head. You can take in the elbows. And then as I turn, belly turns a little bit, chest can turn a lot more. Relaxing the forehead to allow a little more space for creativity. Maybe for perspective, looking out over that front hand will widen the playing field here for possibility. Pressing down through the front foot, bringing the arms down, and bringing the feet underneath you. Bringing the fingertips toward each other in your standing pose, mountain pose. And resisting the temptation to fling that arm out straight. Pretend as though we've got somebody pushing against our arm, each arm that's going out. You've got some resistance. Maybe if you can think about swimming and kind of pushing the water to the side. But we're going to keep our fingers, our palms flat, stretching out, coming back. Same thing with my eyes. I want to keep that idea of peripheral vision. The gaze is soft. When I'm really concentrating on something, we might be very focused, very pinpointed. We're doing literally the opposite. How broad can we keep that focus and still feeling how we're working our arms And bring the arms down. Good. Take the arms up again. Same kind of movement. And we're going to reach the arms out and back up. So palms are toward you to start. I may move them in a moment. I'm going to drop the eyebrows. And same thing, I'm resisting the temptation to go really fast here. I want to connect. Just drop the elbows just a little more. What happens if we go down here a little bit? Really feel that nice connection to the muscles. Here's our movement lab. We're experimenting with a little more than generalized yoga stuff or generalized Pilates stuff. Good. Bring that back. Shake it out a little bit. All right, I'm going to check on my video here just really quick. Okay, looking good. So then let's take the feet wide again, or medium distance, and turn one foot out. Good. So hopefully you felt a little warmth up in the arms, maybe even in the shoulder blade area. And we're going to let the hips go a little more toward the front foot this time. Get nice and strong with your back leg and let's bend that front knee. And then let's take our nice long torso over the top of that front leg. Bring both hands down to the knee. And then just check out where's your head in space. We'll check out for the forehead and the eyes again. And then let's let this arm swing, swing, swing. And then let's take it overhead in line with our ear, reaching out. And if you'd like to add, you could take your other arm and reach as well. Little projected lunge here. Bring that arm back. Let that arm come back down. And then let's straighten the leg. Good. Let's switch right over to the other side. Back foot turns in, other foot turning out. Gonna let my hips turn more toward the front leg, reaching back here. And I'm gonna tip over, hand comes to the knee. Checking in with my concentration here or my attention to what I'm doing. I can feel my feet. So I'm really connected to what the movements are and the cues. And also that there's some space around it, around that movement and around those cues. Let your arm swing. Forehead is nice and soft. Let it reach. And let that shoulder blade really lift up, just like we do when our hands are overhead. Both arms can reach if you'd like. Even when it gets hard, letting the eyebrows drop. Bring that hand back to the leg. Coming back up. Good. Bring the feet back underneath you. Take 20 seconds to check in. Where are the thoughts? Is there a tendency to feel drowsy? If there is, you can lift your gaze just a little bit. So rather than looking down toward the floor, maybe lifting it even with the eyes or a little bit higher, and still keeping this idea of the whole space over here. Good. Let's step to the top of our space again. Inhale here. Exhale, arms out and up. Forward fold, inhale. Exhale, gorilla. Stepping back this time to downward dog. We get to bring the hands to the floor, and we're going to orient the body in another space here. So we've been on our back and we've been standing. Well, now we get to take the head lower than the heart.
And take a few breaths in and out. Knees can bend, hips can go back. And notice what the view is from here. Maybe you're looking at your mat, maybe you're looking back at your ankles and taking in more space there, letting the forehead take advantage of this upside down space. We're not using that corrugator muscle. That's the muscle that we furrow our brow with. Good. And then let's adjust for a plank position. Maybe the knees come down. Maybe you keep this in a straight plank position. Maybe your elbows come down. You're doing the harder plank, in my opinion. I like this tabletop plank much better myself. And same thing here. Seeing if I can notice if there's a lot of chatter in the thoughts, or if I can feel like I'm pretty present to the teaching and I'm pretty present to the body. Go ahead and bring the knees down and stretch back. In this position, we can really, if you like, take your forehead down to the floor and you can almost push um, the forehead skin toward your eyebrows. So that skin there, if we're going to press it either way, press it down a little bit more toward the eyes. Good. Okay. Let's go ahead, bring our selves to hands and knees. I'm going to walk my hands underneath the shoulders, and I'm going to find a good connection of the belly to support my back. Tendency for me is always to have a little more arc in the back than I need. So I want to use the belly. Let's take 1 foot back like you would for plank. Find that connection on the floor. Take the other arm out, just like we did standing up. We are using that shoulder blade to lift. You know, the shoulder blade's coming out and around. The muscles are pulling it up. And if you'd like, then let that foot reach back behind you. And then notice as we hold here a little while what the chatter might be, how the forehead might feel. Maybe if your gaze has gotten a little bit smaller, broadening it again. Bring the limbs back to the floor. Take the other foot back. Reach back. Get nice and strong. Take the other arm off the mat and reach. You can keep the foot on the mat or you can lift it back behind you. Bring the hand back, bring the knee back, and let's walk the feet forward. Come to gorilla and forward fold, and arms out and up. Exhale. Bring the arms down, inhaling. But take the feet medium distance. Turn the toes in. Back foot turning in. Let the hips turn. Let's go ahead and find that the warrior two position to start. And then we're going to take the pelvis, tipping it over, the torso tipping it over again, hands coming to the knee. Checking in again with the face and the forehead. I'm just going to keep reminding us the whole class to try to be as present to that as we can. Now I'm going to take that arm and reach it out to the side. Good. Bring it back in, reach it out. Let it come in, reach it out. Let it come back, swinging in and out. We did a little swing the other way last time. Good. Go ahead and take that arm
After you swung it toward outward, bring it upward again and back down. Out, up, kind of a scoop, and back down. Out, up, and back down. Good. Hand comes to the heart space. Swivel the heart space open. Arm gets to come up. Good. If you'd like, you could really press down through that front foot to straighten your leg. Let your torso kind of lift with that. Straightening the leg. We're in a semi triangle pose. Maybe the torso comes down. Maybe we've got somewhere to put the hand. And maybe we take that gaze upward. Now remember the gaze, it can get really focused on the hand up here. Take in the whole ceiling and corners of the room. Good. Turning the head back to the floor, coming upward, coming back to center. Turning the other foot out, back foot turning in. Letting the hips go forward, bending that front knee. Tipping over, hand coming to the knee. Good. You took the arm out to the side and swung it out, and take it so you can really sense that nice stretch through the arm. Good. And then we came forward with that and down, out and forward and down, out, and we could swing up and down, right? Out, swing, and down, and out, and swing. And I'm seeing my hand, but also the whole room. Swing and down. Good. And taking the hand to the heart space. Opening up. Arm can go up. Pressing down through the front leg. We could straighten the knee and let my torso come up with that to start. And then maybe taking this long torso over the top to find my hand just above the knee or just below the knee. Lots of length in the spine. And then that gaze again. When I look up, forehead gets a little more active. So I want to see if I can keep that soft. 3, 2, 1, coming up. Stepping together here. Step the feet together. Come to the top of your space. Inhale here. Exhale, arms out and up. Forward fold, inhale. Exhale, gorilla. Stepping back to your downward dog. Getting the head below the heart. Good for the nervous system, but today we're going for this idea of a different perspective. We're getting upside down. So your view here, take it in. The world upside down. If we turn our decisions, our questions upside down. Or if we're okay with a new answer, a different answer. Bringing the feet maybe a little closer together for your plank position. Knees can come down, relaxing the forehead. Let the knees come down. I'm going to lower down like a push-up. And then let's bring the heels toward each other. This is always a little tricky. So heels toward each other, toes turning outward into a Pilates V. In the upper body, I'm going to leave the feet on the floor for now. I want to grab the shoulder blades. We've worked a little bit with them today, cozying them up in to the spine a little bit, finding that connection, shoulder blade awareness.
Good. With that awareness, maybe the hands come just off the mat to pause right here. Maybe you like extending the arms with the shoulder blades there. And then we'll go back to the feet, connecting the feet and maybe lifting with this out-turned legs. So the knees are trying to turn outward. You don't have to lift very high. In fact, it's probably not advisable, but I'm gonna see if I can keep my heels together and lift. Whew, feels very different side to side. 3, 2, 1. Let the legs come back to straight, or even turning the toes inward if you'd like, and let the forehead come back to the mat. Hmm. That wasn't supposed to be so hard. All right, turn the toes under. Let's use this as a push-up. So I like to push up to the knees here. Head is in alignment, length in the back of the neck, and softness in the forehead still. Gather that in first, because I know when we get to push-ups and strength stuff, we might start to get a little more overly focused. So let's see if we can feel the arms, the starting to press the hands down, and then start to gather the belly in before you even lift. Here we go. Push to come up. And let's walk ourselves to downward dog or to the feet. So you can come through that downward dog if you'd like. To a forward fold. Let's take one nice deep breath in the forward fold. Rolling upward. If you came up another way, that's okay too. All the way up. Standing check-in. Maybe you close the eyes. Maybe you keep the gaze easy ahead or toward the floor. If you're feeling excited, you're feeling a little amped up, you might keep your gaze downward, softening that gaze and taking in the periphery. Good. Okay. Let's take the feet into our Pilates V. And then let's just do a couple of movements there, bending and straightening, bending and straightening, bend and straighten. Good. Come down and pause. Lift the heels, straighten up and back down, bend, lift the heels, straighten, come down, bend, lift, straighten, and down, bend, lift, straighten, and down. Let's just come up and down a couple of times. See if you can keep those heels together. So only come up so far as you can keep the heels together. Working this connection, you can tell me where you start to feel that. And if you have space, bring your attention back to this peripheral vision, letting the mind rest a little bit here. All we have to do is keep our heels together and lift them. Be present for those sensations in the body, and then relax. Let's bring the feet back to parallel. So you may want something to hang on to here. You may not need it. We're going to take one foot, leave it in parallel, turn the other foot out. So we just had our feet in Pilates V. You're going to turn it out maybe a little bit more. Let the heel rest on the ankle. If you were one that wanted to work on your ankle and you'd in turn work with your shin here, you could lift and lower your toes. And we're going to do a version of tree. So the yoga tree pose has one leg turning out, the hips going straight ahead, and then maybe the toes come away for balance. And then maybe the arms come up behind the head, and you can see the elbows, peripheral vision.
or maybe the arms come overhead. A little bit harder to see your elbows unless you bring your elbows forward a little. Good. A lot of people like to bring their foot to the shin. Oop. It's okay if I fall out. It means my body keeps adjusting to that balance. Good. And then bring the feet back down. Bring the arms down. Let's switch sides. Kickstand, like that idea, the bike kickstand. Leg is turning out, but I'm not turning my body. So kind of check in and see. This leg doesn't like to turn out quite as far, so it just doesn't look super external. Then I'm going to take the foot off. Check it out. How's the balance on this side? Pressing down into this foot, the standing foot. Hands behind the head. Where's my gaze? Elbows, arms. And taking the arms down, foot comes back down. Yeah, nice. Let's do one more balance here. Taking your foot one across the other. We're going to cross that midline. And again, I'm going to have a foot here, toes here, like a kickstand. And I'm starting to cross. So you might feel like if you can cross your legs seated, you might be able to cross your legs here. And the more we bend, the more you'll be able to cross the legs. So you can bend that bottom leg. Notice how I'm using the chair if I have it here, or that maybe you have your fingertips at the wall. And then I'm going to let that toe come up and down off the floor. My right leg is over the top. So I'm going to take my right arm below. And then I'm going to split the vision, bifurcate the vision. Now your hands might come, the back of the hands touching each other. You might be able to find some part of the palms and fingers touching. Doesn't matter. Press down through that bottom foot and unravel. Switching sides. We'll go into that bend, kickstand. This leg is on top, so that arm goes underneath. I get the other side. The hands end up right in the middle of my nose, in the middle of the vision. We get to work with that peripheral again, dropping any tension in the forehead. Pressing down to straighten, bringing the feet back to the floor, unraveling. Good. All right. Let's take this down to the floor. You can use a roll down to come down. Rolling all the way down. Bending the knees, maybe letting the heels come up, seeing if we can bend the knees with some support here. Maybe reaching back up with the legs, back up to straight, bending again. Heels might come up. And then let's come to the floor, however you come down. And then with the legs out in front, you're welcome to have a little bend in the knees if you'd like. If you prefer to crisscross your legs, you can do that. But if you haven't done it like this in a while, maybe you want to try it. Straight legs here. And I'm going to take that heart space and start to swivel it. Legs and feet staying steady. Take your hand to the outside of your leg. Maybe that hand comes back behind you. So again, I can have a little more bend here if there's a lot of pull on the legs. And then the view. Forehead soft, peripheral. Come back to center. Sense that center point, heart space turning, opposite side. Nothing shifts in the lower body, not the sit bones, not the knees, not the feet. Peripheral vision. Come back to center. Good. Let's take the arms up, like we've done a few other times today. Let the shoulder blades really lift. Here with the knees bent, I can come up on the sitting bones. And let's see if we can take that whole unit from the base of the pelvis here. The pelvis is going to tip, taking the back along with it, taking my upper back, taking my shoulders and my head. And then after this, what feels very straight, I'm going to start to round and drape over the legs. So some of us might be draped right onto the legs with the knees bent. And you might want to take one leg out, both legs out just a little bit, lowering those knees. And letting the chin come toward the chest. And here with the eyes closed, just let that forehead again really rest down. Eyebrows toward the cheekbones. Eyebrows toward the cheekbones. Releasing the forehead downward from the hairline to the eyebrows. And then slowly coming up and coming onto your back, taking the feet as wide as your mat and letting the knees come together. Letting the eyes close. If you have a pillow or blanket for your head, that's a nice thing to add. Lifting the head a little bit here. Allowing the eyes to close. Allowing the eyebrows to rest downward. And if you can imagine your hairline on the forehead, from that hairline down to the eyebrows, just allowing a smooth quality to come into the forehead. I often imagine from the eyebrows to the cheekbones, like I'm pulling a shade down over the eyelids. The eyebrows soften into that. And then perhaps the ideas, the thoughts are starting to creep in with fewer cues about what to do with the body. So perhaps you bring your attention to your breath and you try to bring it back. Every time you notice you've gone off on a tangent or making a list, allowing each exhale to get a little longer. Thoughts are okay. They're perfectly normal, what our brain likes to do. And it's those thoughts that are going to be creative, that are going to make the plan, help us with decisions. So we're grateful for all of that ability. We're also grateful for any small glimpses of a little more space between the thoughts. That sometimes happens easily, sometimes not so easy. And then as you're ready, we're going to bring the legs in and roll to your side. And then using your arms and hands, press yourself up to seated. Okay, session one on clarity done. I'll see you next time. We'll work with another um, theme a little bit like this. We'll see which one it is. Thanks so much. Have a great day.